24MX is Europe's largest motocross online store. Open 24/7, we offer the best deals and widest assortment of gear, parts and accessories in the off-road market. Don't miss out on our weekly offers, so head over to www.24mx.co.uk. Welcome back to the Live Motocross podcast. Bit of a special one this week, which is a story I've wanted to get across for a long time. Joining us today is Ashkan Gilly from 24MX. Now, Ashkan, thank you so much for taking time out at the moment. I know it's crazy in the world. Thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Hey, thank you for having me. Super stoked to be in the podcast. I really like to talk and talk about, motocross and engines and riding in general. Mm-hmm. So I'm
great.
all about that.
So first off, obviously 24MX is a brand that has been well known in the industry for quite a while. Mm-hmm. Give us a bit on your background, how you got involved with the company and how it actually started out.
Okay. So the company, the company who owns 24MX is called Pierce, and it was founded 2008 by a guy named Stefan Rönn, a Swedish guy. And a little later, same year, another guy called Daniel Peterson joined the company. And then they launched 24MX. And then since then, it's had been, a hell of a ride. And the whole thought behind it is to making motocross really easy and have a really good and wide and accessible assortment, so to keep growing the sport and give a really nice service to the community. So that's how we all began. And the thing is with 24MX, it was like found by riders. So there's a lot of passion and, pulse within the company that has always been in one way or another connected and tied into the sport, either enduro or motocross. And how actually I, as a person, ended up at 24MX was that, like around that year, 2008 and 2009-10, I was riding a lot, and I bought a lot of stuff because they have also a physical store here in Stockholm. So I was like buying stuffs and kind of became friends with these guys. And then years passed, and I'd never, had any thought or any idea to that I would end up at 24MX and work. So 2017, that was super interesting. A friend of mine applied for a position as a marketing director, and he was my manager at another company, and it was like, dude, I want to have you with me because I know what you, what you can achieve, and you really know motorcycles and motocross, and let's jump on this ship. I was like super curious because I knew this guy, this guy is from 24MX. So he got me all fired up, and like the day before he was supposed to jump on the ship, he jumped off the ship, so he never took the job. And he got me all fired up and stuff, and I was like, I need to reach out to 24MX because this is too nice. So I ended up talking to them, and they recognized me for 10 years ago, and it was like, then it was like a super cool match, and that was the story. So I wasn't actively searching to be here, but I have had so much fun, and we have achieved a lot since 2017.
This is it. So obviously, since you've been involved with the company, things have seemed to have grown on sort of the presence at events and things like that. What are you planning sort of moving into next year? Because COVID has obviously thrown a spanner in the works for the industry.
Yeah, that's the case. What I'm always trying to do is that I try always to give back to the community. We try to, never lose our roots. We try to always support every local club in around Europe. We try to support individual riders as much as we can, and of course, the COVID situation had made it tough for everyone. And if we can't, be physically at events or at races and stuff, because those are not happening. We try to, have any kind of other supports like digital presence, and in any way that we could help, to keep the momentum going. We try to do the best what we can do with the given circumstances. And hopefully, there's a solution for the whole COVID situation, and then we will, keep going on as we do.
Have you found that obviously with the whole COVID thing going on, people have been staying at home more and working more on their bikes? Have you found that that's almost made you guys a lot busier?
Yeah, I mean, we were definitely have that in our consideration that, okay, what will happen now when COVID hit that hard? But what ended up, it was that people obviously couldn't go out and spend time and money on other stuff.
Yeah.
And we saw that a lot of people, worked on their bikes and, kit them, and everybody was so eager to ride. So in the beginning of the whole COVID situation, we just saw that people actually bought a lot of, motocross accessories and gear. But then when the restrictions was a little bit loosened up and people started to riding, everything kind of went back to normal. Then, as you definitely know, the races started to get started, but without any public. But so everything been kind of more or less very similar for us as before COVID.
Oh, that's good then.
Yeah.
So obviously you guys have got 24MX under the Pierce umbrella, but you've also got a sled store and a couple of other little bits. Just talk us through those as well.
Yeah, for sure. So we have another shop called Sled Store that's completely focused on snowmobiles. And as you know, the only countries in Europe who ride snowmobiles and are legally able to ride is Norway, Sweden, and Finland. And also Norway is more or less also banned without some certain areas, and the Norwegians ride in Sweden. And as far as I know, the rest of Europe, you can only ride snowmobiles like in professional manner. If you like ski lifesavers and stuff in Alps. So that shop is more or less only focused around the Nordic areas. And then we have XL Moto, which is the on-road shop, which also is a little bit like 24MX, but for road bikes. So that's our like three shops.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So jumping back to 24MX, obviously you guys have just brought out the Raven kit, which looks super cool. I've got some here that I'm going to have a look at later.
Oh, cool.
And also, what sort of other brands can people expect to see under the 24MX banner?
I mean, on 24MX, we try to be, as wide as possible in our assortment. Everything from all the top brands where people, expect in a one-stop shop where we would like to be. That whether you ride motocross or enduro, that we should be the shop that can serve you with whatever you need, either gear or parts or accessories. So when it comes to brands, we have our own private brands, which is 11 brands. Then we have more or less every top brand which exists in the market in our shop.
So it keeps you very busy then?
Yeah, it keeps us very busy, and it keeps us fun because I think it's super fun to work with other brands as well. Because every brand have their own twists and their own niche and what they stand for, and what kind of tweak you like to have on your brand. So that I like that mix. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
So you mentioned a minute ago about helping out riders and clubs.
Yeah.
Talk us through some of the brand ambassadors you've got on the 24MX calendar.
Yeah, for sure. So we have a lot of collaborations, but we kind of divide them in different ways. So let's say the club collaboration, that is like purely we want to support the sport. We want to, grow new kids into the sport. So that's like we support the local clubs. We support a lot of federations around Europe. And that's more like, let's, give back to the community. That's the mindset with that kind of collaborations. Then we have also pure sponsorship, traditional sponsorship when we sponsor, racers and teams. And as you know, we're still working with the JWR team in MXGP, and they are doing also the Swedish Nationals. So that's our team, and that team is more our research and development partner, and also a lot of great things for the brand association at the highest level of racing. So that's the two different ends of, different kind of collaborations. Then in between them, we have, the brand ambassadors and the influencers, where people kind of like to endorse our brands and our products, where we don't have any athletic performance requirement. That's more like if you like to ride, if you love to ride, if you love to try our products, and if you like to, with your content, inspire other people. That's in the middle section of these extremes. So that's a little bit how we work with sponsorship and collaborations.
So, for example, if someone came to you seeking sponsorship, what would you look for in a rider or an influencer?
I mean, for me, it's like a collaboration. And this message I want to send to all the people that seek collaborations. It's all about give and take. And it's like, what values can we give each other? So what I seek, it's personality, it's drive, its ability also, to ride and make good races if you are a competitive athlete. And also for me and for us, it's also important that you are an inspirational person that can affect other people with good values and share the message that you want to send. So all of that packed together, that for me is a really good things that I look into different riders or teams or influencers. But what I'm not kind of getting interested in, when I get a paper like sponsor me, I'm going to race this race, but I want to have more okay, this is my ambition. This is the way I'm seeing 3 years from now, it's a little bit more what can we give each other? That's what I really gets me interested.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a really good bit of advice to give to people as well, because we had this conversation in the office the other day about how riders struggle almost sometimes to approach companies for sponsorship. So that would be really helpful.
Yeah, because I know racing. We know racing is expensive. That we know, and we know that every bit of help helps a lot. But it's different times now with the digital world and the social media channels, and influencers really getting into promoting products and the lifestyle and a message. Then it also makes it tough for pure racers, because they need to step up their game. Because if you as a racer or as a team also have those attributes, then you're unbeatable, because you can actually ride really fast and race. But a lot of times that's part of your portfolio that a lot of people miss. Which that's why I want to send this message, that have that in calculation, because people and companies and brands will really get hyped if somebody have that package in their presentation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So moving forward, talk us through a bit of the main vision for 24MX. Where are you aiming to go over the next few years?
I mean, our vision is to, be the best partner and the best shop, for the whole community. Everything from assortment, good service, good products. Extremely important for us to have a huge community where we, support each other, when we support the sport, support the races, all of that stuff. So that is the main goal, to be, the really big force in the sport and in the industry, and to, serve people.
Now, I know before we touched on a few of the events that you cover. Now, you guys have a massive event over in Gotland, don't you? The Enduro.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I know when I visited it with you guys, that was insane to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think counted in people, it's like the biggest enduro event in the world, and I think every year almost 3,000 people, no, 3,000 races attend the race, and they divided in 3 days. The day one you have juniors and veterans, then day two you have like seniors and elite, something like that, and it's like you need to really experience it just to understand the massiveness of this race. And people, please go into YouTube and look for GGN. And then you type 2019 or 18. I think you were there 2018, yeah?
Yeah.
And it's muddy, and it's on an island in Sweden called Gotland, and they by purpose put it in late autumn where it's rainy, and it's from the sea it's a lot of wind. So it's like a really challenge to mankind. So the track in itself is not that tough, if it's dry. But putting the consideration with rain and wind, then it breaks people. That's the thing, and I think it's about to make as many laps as possible to a certain time, and I think the really, really fast guys do like 6 or 7 laps. And as you remember, the year you were there, actually they included the round of West in Gotland, and actually the top guys in West have a tough time over there because of the weather, because they're not used to have mud up to their stomachs. But whenever I've been there and watched the race, it's like, I'm not doing this race. But why?
Never.
Exactly. But it's a cool thing to have, in your experience book.
And I think as well, like, it's really important for 24MX to obviously back brands like that. I know you had a lot of branding at Gotland, especially sort of on home soil, if you like.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, because we started here, but in all seriousness, we really try to have that connection and passion throughout whole Europe. So we are really, really in touch with all the federations and all clubs throughout Europe, and we try to grow that as well. So we really try to be, one brand, one world kind of thinking. And of course we grew from here, but we try to, be all over the place and, help every single European club and country that we can.
Absolutely. So moving forward, I know you've obviously touched on being involved in Europe with clubs and bits and bobs. How important is it for 24MX to sort of help the British scene at the moment? Because a lot is changing.
I mean, for us, it's super important because we know that UK is a huge motor nation, whether it's motocross or road racing or TT racing or whatever. So we see UK as a really important market for us, but also we know that the passion for motocross and all motorsport is big over there, and that's why we really want to give our support to different association or race events and race organizers and clubs. That's how we see it.
Awesome. It's nice to see some people getting behind, like I say, racing across Europe, because it seems to have, over the past few years, maybe taken a bit of a dip with things.
Yeah, I think what we are doing that works for us is that we try to see all of this stuff as partnerships and not like one-off sponsorship. So we try to, collaborate with our partners, and it's like, okay, how, as I said, how do we bring each other value? How do we give is exposure for our partners in our social media channels, and how do we get exposure in their channels? And as you know, we also really trying to be active and supporting the youth activities, young riders coming up, which I believe is super important because, you know, they are the future of the sport.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So jumping back to products and bits and bobs, is there anything new and exciting we can be expecting from the Raven range, or?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things coming out that, as you saw, that we had the new Raven launch for a couple of weeks ago. So we have a whole new collection of gear and a whole new collection actually of helmets. And we have now a carbon helmet, which is super nice and super light. And obviously, we have the whole line of magnetic goggles where you can change your lens in a blink of an eye, whether it's depending of weather changes or lightning, or if they are basically dirty. So it's a super easy lens change and a super nice product. They will be more updated on the Raven kit, but that will be later in 2021.
Yeah.
So because this is just released, so we are looking fresh out of the oven.
Exciting stuff then going forward.
It's super excited. I'm super looking for 2021. I hope the whole situation in the world gets better, and I'm really miss the big races.
Me too.
I get it. I mean, I miss the pulse. I miss the pre-starts and be in the pits and chit chat with people and looking and drooling over the bikes and all that stuff.
Defo. Well, Ashkan, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thank you, Sophie. That was a blast. This was fun.
There we go, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Live Motocross podcast. And I hope you've enjoyed a little bit of the backstory of 24MX as well. Stay tuned to our iTunes, Acast, Spotify, wherever you listen to our podcast for brand new episodes every couple of weeks. See you then.